Welcome back. Now, in a bid to standardize and improve the quality of tertiary education in Nigeria, the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, recently announced new admission guideline for the 2025-2026 academic session. And, there was an upward review of some certain enforcements of minimum age and cutoff mark. So we'll be looking at Jamb and the new admission standards, and I have two students with me in the studio this morning. We have Collins Okolo and Jacqueline Martin Ilo to share with us what their thoughts are on this topic. Good morning and welcome to the program.
Good morning. Thank you.
How do you guys feel today?
Good. I feel quite good.
You feel good? Yes. All right. So now let's start with first of all, what do you know about this new standard set by Jamb?
I feel like it's 150 now.
Okay.
They took it down. It's like dumbing down our whole economy, making it easier to get into schools that are not supposed to be easy to get to. Like, can you imagine nursing school is 140, so you can kill me?
Okay, so that's what you're thinking, that basically the cutting down of the cutoff mark is going to make the standard reduce, the standard of education. What about you? What do you think, Collins?
Okay, I think having had quite series of Jamb this year, a year whereby Jamb is written 3 consecutive times, owing to the network glitches and all of that. So I think that was a considerate action by reducing the Jamb score to that very number 150 to make the university accessible to every student. I had most of my classmates regretting why they didn't write Jamb this year, because they were thinking that it's going to be the normal. But then after the meeting that was held previously a few days ago, and then the score were reduced, most of them were in regret, but I think that was quite a considerate action.
Yeah, but do you think that those glitches, it's not the fault of the students? So, I mean...
the glitches actually brought about skepticism, since it was actually affecting 2 states, the Lagos state and the Enugu state. Then the Southeast, we are saying that is it because they are Igbos and all of that. So I think it's not actually the students' fault, because we wrote the Jamb normally as every person would. And then when the scores are out, everybody came on the media, people were crying, this is not my score and all of that, which I was personally affected.
Okay.
Because knowing how much you've read in the sleepless night, there are scores that even when you close your eyes and write, you are very certain that this cannot be your score. And that was why maybe after all the suing and the maybe consultation, they decided to give a new Jamb review. And at the second rewriting, the scores were better.
Okay, so why do you think that they decided to review the cutoff mark? Because he has given his own opinion on that.
I think it was the logical thing to do, because after writing an exam, I'm not going to do the great, I'm not going to do the best, but I'm going to do like an average. I'm going to do well. I know I'm not going to fail. And then when you look at your score, you see, oh my God, I got like 100, but you are expecting something higher. There's this like sinking feeling that you feel like after reading, after studying, after doing my best, and then to come out and see my result, you feel so disappointed in yourself. And imagine that glitch was not found. Imagine all these students that had expected to get high scores and they end up getting something so heartbreaking and crushing, it's not something you want to feel.
Yes, I get that, but at the same time, before, I think the minimum was the cutoff mark was about 180 or so, and now it has come down to 150. Now, don't you think that it's going to make, students or aspiring people that are about to write Jamb, don't you think it's going to make them a bit laid back, knowing that the standard for them has been reduced, so they don't even have to put that much effort anymore?
You can't necessarily tell, because things might change. Maybe this year's own was because owing to the glitches and all of that, nobody knows what is next year behold. So you still reading harder doesn't mean that next year it can still be brought up the same way it was brought down to see, it can still be skyrocketed back to the number it was before. So I don't see it as a form of demoralization to the upcoming Jambite. I think it's even the reason why they should read more, owing to the fact that anything can happen and then you can be asked to rewrite all those cutoff mark and scale skyrocket. So it shouldn't be a form of demoralization. Rather, it should even be an incentive to tell you that there is more to it, that Jamb is not actually something you get to play with because you don't know what it is forcing for.
All right. Now, Jacqueline, let me get your idea. Aside from this cutoff mark issue, we also have that Jamb has also, taken 16 as the age for entry into the university. So what are your thoughts on that? Because, before there were controversies around, the age being taken up to 18, and now it's now set to 16. So what are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts are, I feel going into university is not about your age. It's about your capacity to cope with the whole environment, your intelligence, how smart you are, how skilled you are in that set of things you want to do. It shouldn't be about your age. I feel if you're 12 and you're ready for university and you're passing all your classes, you're ahead of your class, you're advanced, you're that intelligent, you should be in university. I don't think they should drag you down just because you are 12 or as they say, you're not mentally developed for the class.
Yeah, because I was getting to that. Some people will also be of the opinion that, like you said, 12 is a bit too young. You're going into a space where it's an adult dominated environment. People are in their 20s, in their teenagers, but they are older teenagers, 16, 17, 18, some are in their 20s. And so people have the opinion that you as a young person, younger than the age expected, might not be able to cope in that environment. Aside academics, though, like other areas of university life.
But okay, let me put this in like a corporate setting. You come to work every day, it's everyone your age. People are 30, people are 50, people are 60. You being 12 in university gives you that skill that most people don't get till they get into the corporate world. You're 12 and you're seeing 16-year-olds, 18-year-olds, and the boost of confidence you get when you're like participating more, you're getting higher scores than them. You're learning how to be, how I put it, you're learning how to be honest and like hardworking and knowing how to put yourself out there. You're 12, people are like, oh, you can't really do much. You can't really do this. You can't really do that. You're too small. You're too young.
Like limiting.
They are limiting your capacity just because of your age. Most people are 10, 11, and as people say, you're mature for your age. It's not about the way your body grows or the way your brain develops or as like how people expect it to develop. It's about how it actually works. You can be 10 and you can be solving math that a 14-year-old can't. So what I'm saying is you shouldn't be restricted in schools just because of you're younger. You should be let in because you're smart, you're capable, you're skilled enough to do it.
All right, so Collins, what about you? Let's see what you think about the 16-year mark.
Okay, let's make this more relatable.
Okay.
Actually, I wrote my common interest when I was in primary 4, and then I didn't get to read primary 5 and 6, owing to the fact that maybe I was this brainy student, and I hope that even though I entered secondary school without passing that process, I could still cope. And then as I then entered secondary school, lo and behold, I still ranked first in my class, even though they were not my age. And then both of them might be of positive importance. That is the 18 and 16 years syndrome. But I think that this has been a cause for debate over the years and all of that. And I think it makes sense because when they say that age is just a number, I think Jamb took it serious. Because it's certainly a number. There are things that your age might restrict you to do, and once your age might not restrict you to do. The 16 years you are entering university doesn't mean that you can cope there or something, because I'm speaking from experience. Actually, when I was studying last year, I got the news that about that 16 years something. I was then like brought down because I was actually 16. And I was like, what if they don't allow me to write Jamb? They say that means I'll have to stay at home extra 2 years doing nothing and whiling away just because of an age syndrome. And you notice that, okay, what about those that are 24, in their 30s and all of that, still in the university but not doing well? So what are they just giving them the entrance because of their age? Like, I think they might view this from maybe a perspective that they think is nice to them. But if they were to overgeneralize everything, it would occur to them that this age restriction of a thing is not necessarily something that matters, because it is your capacity, just like she stated, what you have within you, those potentials that you can exhibit. Because you might see the person that is 16 going in there and at the end still graduating with your first class. It has happened in most cases, so age shouldn't be a hindrance. That is quite a minute something to, I don't know, to tackle Jamb issue with.
Okay, so basically what the both of you are saying is, regardless of the age, anybody who has shown the capacity to be in the university space should be allowed to be in the university space. But what about the rules? I mean, there has to be a standard. So if it is left open, just like how you people are saying, it should be, everybody should be allowed to go the way they want to go. If it is thrown open, that means we are going to have a lot of problems, because both those who can and those who cannot will just have a free way into the university. So what about those standards that Jamb is trying to reinforce? What do you think about this?
I'm not saying it should be left open. I'm saying If, let's say, you take Jamb and you're just 15 and then you get 300 and something, you should be allowed into a university that wants you. It's not, I'm not saying if you get 150 or you never take Jamb and then you're 10 years old, I just be like, oh, I want to be university, just walk in. No, I mean, if you're capable, like, you should be allowed to take Jamb. If you want to test your brain and take it, you should be allowed to take it. And when you take it and you pass and you do well and a school wants you, this age restriction is going to, the school can't accept you. That's literally what Jamb is saying. If you're capable, if you're smart enough, the school can't accept you because you're not old enough. That's what Jamb is saying. And that's wrong, because if you're smart and you're ready, even if you're small or you're short or you look tiny, just because of the way you look, they shouldn't try and restrict you or say you're not ready, or just because of your age. Because most people are ready. There are a lot of individuals that are ready for university but have to stay home for gap years. And then as you're not learning, you're getting dumber.
Okay. So now, that means, in other words, okay, but what do you think exactly? Do you think that Jamb should be setting these standards, or do you think that universities should set these standards by themselves as to the people that they want to come into their universities, the cutoff mark they are willing to accept, and the age limit they are willing to accept?
Yes, universities should be the ones speaking. Because at the end of the day, it's not Jamb that is taking you into university. It's the university. If the university sees your scores and they're like, I don't want this person, they will not take you. University should be able to pick. You're in nursing school. You're applying for nursing school, and then the Jamb says, oh, it's 140, but the school is like, no, I want 200. At the end of the day, if it's a private school, what are you going to do? Nothing. You can't get into the school. Because all these private schools, they don't work with the government. It's self-owned. It's an individual that owns it. If the individual says, I don't want my cutoff mark to be 140, it's not be 140. And at the end of the day, you end up not getting into the school you want because of what they have led you to think that nursing schools are 140.
All right, so what about you, Collins?
I think this is actually a thing of critical thinking, because if the standard is to be set, we should date this back to the nursery class, because you can't expect a child to be maybe scaling classes and starting school at an early age, and then when it is time for them to write Jamb, you tell them that this is not supposed to be. If Jamb is really going to do this, it should start from the very grassroots of it, and make sure that, okay, before you enter into the nursery 1 class, you should be at least up to 5 years. So to enable you, so when you reach SSC, you at least be up to 16. They shouldn't just maybe wake up one morning and jump into the conclusion. No, it should be dated back to history, and see that we start covering this from time, not just skyrocketing things from the middle. It doesn't work that way. And also, if Jamb does that, because it's actually Jamb that will give the universities the score that you are meant to enter school with. And then, so if they start from the nursery class and start curtailing this, you know that, oh, even if I rush, I'll still have to stay and then attain this maximum number of years before entering school. But if they started from the primary, okay, this is my age limit. Because if they want to implement this now, you go to the primary school, you see those writing common interest at the age of 10 and 9. What do you want to become of them when they reach SS3 to start waiting like others? No. You should start from the very grassroots and start tackling this. And whereas that is quite an insignificant problem. All this is a matter of adaptability when you enter into the university. You being able to change to the environment and all of that. Although, like I stated before, both of them are of positive importance, but I think that of the 16 years is of greater advantage. I'm just speaking from
Why do you think it is of greater advantage?
Okay. Earlier, was it last year? Yes, we went to Abuja for a competition, and this was the notion for the day about the regulation of the 16 years of a thing. And then those citing for the 16 years won because this is just an age. Why the other team were telling us that it can bring maybe trauma to you, it can bring unadaptability, you will not blend in because they are not your age mates and all of that. They gave us reasons. But we are also trying to tell them that this is education we are talking about. And the more you tend to stay at home, if you don't tend to revise your book and you are not going further, you tend to become dumber. Out of sight is out of mind, they say. So this is a continuous process of a thing. When you go over there into the white countries, even though here is not the white country, you see that maybe their adulthood begins at the age of 16. Somebody who is already up to 16 years is already maturing both physically, mentally, and otherwise. And when they go into the university and know what they are expected of, this will make them to adapt to this. Oh, they will be like, this is now on a one-man stand. I have nobody to rely on, nobody to tell me then to read my book. And if somebody can attain a high score of 300 and in Jamb, that shows you that this person is quite intelligent and he knows what he wants. So this making him going to the university still with the mindset that I can do better. And owing to the fact that, okay, these are not my 8 but I still have to hold up my head high. I have to tell them that I am really worth the admission they gave me. Yeah. So you don't get to make yourself demoralized by the factors around you.
Okay. Now also, do you people think that this age restriction or this age limit is realistic when it comes to our education system, seeing that most people, particularly those who go to public universities, we have cases of strike and all these things that if you were to do a course for 4 years, you might end up spending 6 years or more, as the case may be, due to certain breaks and strikes and all that. So now, do you think that them setting this standard of age is realistic when we look at our education system right now?
It is realistic, but the main problem is, in primary schools, they promote students when they feel like they are capable of being in a higher grade. As let's say you're 4 and they promote you, you're not going to finish secondary school when you're 16. You're going to finish maybe when you're 14 or 15. And that's the problem. They promote you knowing that you're capable of being in this class. But then Jamb is not taking that into consideration. They are putting it out there because they feel when you're 16, you should be capable of university. And when you're below 16, you're not going to be capable. Most of these issues root from, as she said, nursery school. They let children that are 1 or months old into nursery school. They start school early. And by the time they are done, they finish very early. They finish, let's say, 12 or 14. And that's the main problem. The problem doesn't root from what they want. It roots from them not starting this program when earlier. They let us enter nursery school whenever we want.
Yeah, but what I'm actually saying is, I'm looking at, like you said, you've written Jamb before,
Yeah,
and you also you wrote Jamb this year, and you're looking to write Jamb again next year, right? And I'm talking of tertiary institution. I'm not talking of from nursery school now.
Okay.
Looking at like Jamb has said 16. Before there was controversy about 18. Now some people are of the opinion that if you say somebody should stay till they are 18 or till they are 16 to enter university, for those who would be going to public schools, you might not get it the first time. So you write Jamb first time. You probably stay at home for another year, depending if you get admission or not. Some people write Jamb more than 2 times, 3 times. And then when you do enter school, you end up spending some extra years due to strike and all of that. And then by the time the person is finishing, the person is probably getting a bit old, too old for some certain types of jobs, or even NYSC, depending on when they started. That's what I'm asking. Do you think that idea of age limit 18, age limit 16 is something that can work with us here?
No, it can't work with us because these schools, all these schools that go on strike, well, if the institution was good and better, they wouldn't have to go on strike. All these things roots back to the government. They're supposed to provide for these schools to the extent that they wouldn't want to go on strike. Going on strike means your working conditions are not good enough. You want better things. You want more out of what you're doing. As they go on strike, more years go by. They can go on strike for 2 years. What about the students that are in the school? What would they do? They'll just be there. Maybe they'll find something to do. But without your credentials, without your certificates or your diplomas, you can't really get a job, a good job actually. You can only get like a side job, maybe be working at a supermarket or you'll be doing something else, but you wouldn't really be paid what you are supposed to be paid if you had finished your university on time. And as you said, they get older to the extent that they can't do certain jobs. Like construction, there's an age limit. You can't be 50 and doing construction. Nobody wants you to break your back or sue. That's the main problem. They don't give you the equipment and stability you need to finish on time. Putting this age limit means also making the environment and schools ready to be able to keep up to that age limit.
All right, very quickly, because we are running out of time. Collins, what are your thoughts on this very quickly? Before
Okay, I think that this is actually a yes for me.
Okay.
Because this age limit implementation of a thing, just like she stated, there are certain age you will reach in a particular like field or profession won't accept you anymore because they expect you to start working at this age and retire at this age. So imagine you graduating late. That means that the chances of you being employed there is quite minute. And aside that, those ASU strikes and all of that, apart from ASU strike, if even a pandemic can occur, let's take coronavirus pandemic as an example, when people spend much years in the university and end up like coming out more late than expected, this might bring about maybe delay in employment and professional pursuit and all of that. So I think the age limits implementation is something that is imperative. And if we are normalizing word, if this age limit of a thing is being jeopardized, it will even increase crime rates. You staying at home and wandering aimlessly without doing anything, just waiting for you to clock 18 before you can enter school.
Yes.
It is just something that should be given a thorough thought, not just from a very white one perspective. Let it be generalized.
All right. Thank you so much. I had a very great time with you. Guys have very strong opinions. Very lovely. Thank you for joining us on this program. Jacqueline Martin, Ilo, and Collins Okolo, both students talking on Jamb and the new admission standard. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Signature TV, news in your pocket.